Hello and welcome to this video. In this SwiftUI video, we are going to add now the address tab, the address to now the form. In the previous video, we just had name, username, email, phone, and website, but now we've got the address there. And when we tap on the address, it takes us to the address form where we can then make any changes to the street. And also we then got the geo, the coordinates, which we can go in and also make changes to these and come back to the front bit. You can see we've got our changes automatically updated there, but not persisted yet. And if we want to cancel it and revert everything, we can see we go into the coordinates and we get it all reverted. So if you're interested to see how we did this, how we implemented this, then just keep watching. With that said, let's get started. Okay, before we start making any changes to the project, let's just have a quick look at what the previous version looked like. We just basically had the name, username, email, phone, and website fields. We downloaded the data from the JSON placeholder. We've got this form state where we save the information to, and we show the button if the form state has changed. And has changed is whether or not the current user, the changes that we're making to it right now are the same as the initial state that we saved it in the beginning. All right, so we're not making any changes to the initial user. We're only making changes to the current user. This is what we want to look like. And now we want to add the address property to it to move on to then the address page. So with that now all out the way, let's get started with making the changes. Now you might be asking, David, why are you using file private here for form states, and why have you got this private here now, and why have you got file private? Well, because in simple form 111 and simple form 110, here in simple form 111 from the previous video, we have form state here, and we also have then the user here, so they're file private here. So basically we don't have to say file private there, we can just say form state. It means that I can continue on from the previous states of the file inside of this content view form without worrying about the types inside the simple form 111 file. So that's just basically it. So we can always have some form of history to look back on what it looked like without using version control. So the first step that we're going to have to do is come down to our user inside the content form, the view, sorry, and we need to add the address, and we need to have geo. All right, so we need two structs here. We need the address struct, and we also need the geo struct. So let's just go ahead and create that down here, and we'll say file private, because we're going to need to have it file private for the next video. Okay, and just say address, and this has got to be codable. I'm going to have it identifiable and hashable as well, and it has then the streets here is that there, and then it has a suite string, and then it has a city string, then it has a zip code, which is also a string, and then we have the geo, which is going to be a geo as well. Let's just create this to be faster and rename this geo, and we're going to say lat, and it is then long, and these are going to be double. They could also use core location, but we're not going to. And we're going to add an ID here, and it is going to be a string, and we are going to say nothing more than lat and long together. Okay, nice and simple, happy days. And this address, it doesn't really have an ID, so we're just going to say string, and we'll say street plus suite plus city plus zip code plus geo plus ID. Okay, and that can be the ID of our address. Something that I have noticed is that obviously we've got this white screen here. Something is obviously going wrong because it's all building fine, but if we actually look into the problem, we can see that it's this double down here, and we just need to change it to be string and string, and when we change it, we should get our view back. Yeah, when we look at the page, we can see I missed these quotes here instead. We'll solve that later. So we'll just do lat long, and if we show the map in later videos, then we'll do the conversion then to double. All right. So with that said, let's come back up to here. Now we want to handle this a little bit differently when we add the website. Add the address one. So let's just go ahead and add the address section, and from here we want to have a navigation link. All right, and you might think we want to use this value, but we want to control the destination here. This destination belongs to us, and we want to control it. Okay, and so we're going to create the view here. But first of all, we're going to say a label, and we're going to say label content, and we're going to say address here. And now within inside of this, we're going to say then the binding wrapped value, because we just want the string address, and we'll just say the street. Okay, nice and simple. And then we have that. So we now can see that we can link to this one page. But why do we want to control it here? Well, we want to be able to control the binding. And to do this, we're going to have to create a second view, right? But we have nearly all of the information we need in this content view. Okay, so what we're going to do is just going to copy and paste it here, and we're going to change it to the address detail view. We can remove pretty much everything that we've got, and we're going to keep this. We're going to say address form state instead, and we'll copy and paste this. And we'll just say address form state, and we'll just say current and initial, and then we'll just change this to address and address, and say here initial and initial. Okay, that looks a little bit better now. All right, so now we've got this cancellables, and we can say is then the current, and then we want then to say the current here as well. And this is where we're going to say then the streets, and then we want then the suites, and then we have the city here. Change that to city. Next we want then the zip code, and now we want the geo, which we're going to leave out for the time being. All right, and then we got this form state is perfectly fine. Got this then, say address form. We don't need any task, right? Because we don't need to load anything, because we have everything that we need. However, we need this one binding, right? So we're going to say an init with a binding, and we're going to have to change this state up here, because we want to have our binding, right? But we're going to use this state to control our form, all right? And so in this, really, we can just have initial address when we receive it, okay? And we'll just say address here. Whoops. Address here. The cancellers we don't need, and when we initialize it, we're going to initialize it with a binding. This is going to be a binding of an address, okay? And we're going to say initial address is equal to a we're going to say here, we have to create our binding first of all, and we'll say current, and we'll say address is here, all right? And we'll say current address is equal to binding, and then we can say here the initial address is equal to the binding wrapped value, all right? And cannot assign. Okay, we have to assign it like this. Must be declared file private, that's no problem. Yes, and now we have that done there. So now we have our, let's put this the other way around, our current is the most important thing that we're getting through the initial binding, okay? And we are basically saying this current address here is then the binding that we're receiving, all right? And then the initial address, we're just going to set the wrapped value into this state. This state, the address detail, the source of truth is the state here. It belongs to it, but the binding comes from outside. And when we make changes to, we're going to make changes to this address here, all right? But that potentially will allow this form button to change as well, because the address will be changing too. Okay, so now let's have a look at how to fix this inside of this. We now have the currents here, and the binding. We already have a binding in here, so we can move this out instead and come down here like that, because we already have the currents. Let's say current and streets here. Let's just copy and paste these to be zip code, and this is then city, and this is then suites. Happy days. And now we can come down here and say address detail, and we need now our binding, so we can say our address, and this should work now. And when we come to it and we come back, see our update button isn't there, but if we change it, our save button is there. So now we're expecting to come over and come back, our address button's not there. Let's change something and come back, and our save button's there. You see, we come back to it and we still get what we want. We come back again and our save button is now gone. Okay, so it means that we can control this here, and we can also come down to the bottom and say here cancel here, and inside the cancel we can say form state current user is equal to form state initial user. All right, and so let's just come here and press this, and we can say cancel, and everything goes away. We come in here and we can come back, and we now get the cancel button. We go back to the normal again. So this address here, let's just change it here and come back again, and watch this address change when we say cancel, and everything's gone. So we now have a cancel button and also a save button. Happy days. All right, so this is now how we can add the address to it, and basically the whole point is to be able to control the binding from outside. And the source of truth is this one state. Okay, this is the most important thing. This is our source of truth, but we are passing down our source of truth to this address detail view. And now inside of this address detail view, potentially, actually, we've managed to negate requiring that there. And what do we got this there now? Yeah, there we go. So let's just do this again. What do we have? Currents is then binding dots address. And what's wrong with you? Oh, it's private. Oh yeah, we want, that's my mistake. Okay, that all now works fine. So there we go. This is how you can add the address onto it. And when we come to this, let's just copy and paste this into our address instead. And we can quickly just copy and paste this address detail now to our geo detail. And we can just say geo in here instead. And the geo is then going to have then the lat. So latitude here, and let's put this here instead and say lat, and let's copy this, put it down there, and longitude. I'm not very good at spelling, but it's probably wrong. And we can get rid of these. We don't need that. We don't need that. And address geoform, whoops, as well. And address, what did we just break there? Oh yeah, we want address there. What have we got here? Currents, sorry, we want currents. Address detail, and this goes to, we want geo here, and this one goes to geo there. And then we want the address. So the geo, we're just going to say, let's just do text here and coordinates. Do that instead. And this wants to be now a geo detailed view. Whew. Hopefully this is now working. And we come to the geo state, and we come to the coordinates, and we change the coordinates, come back, and we should have save here. So we just say cancel and goes back to normal again. And we come to the coordinates, and we change it to 2 or whatever. And we're all happy. We go back to the coordinates, and we still get, let's put a 2 on the end, and we still get the 2 on the end, and we come back to the beginning, and we go to the coordinates, we get the 2 on the end still. So happy days. This is now how we can update it. It's been a little bit of a, it's not a tough video, but it's a little bit tough to be able to explain simply without also getting lost. And yeah, anyway, with that said, I hope that you've got something out of this one video. It's been fun making as well. What error message do we have in there? Let's rebuild it. Get rid of these to see whether we can get rid of some of these error messages. And let's run it in the simulator just to check we've got everything working fine. And we come to the coordinates, and it looks all good to me. So they were just temporary problems. So with that said, I hope that you've enjoyed this one video. I hope you've got something out this one video, and I'm sorry if it might sound a bit confusing at times, but it's not easy sometimes making these videos under pressure, especially with filming. And yeah, with that said, don't forget to please like, subscribe and share, and do all of the other social media things that you can do out there. If you've got any questions, feedback or concerns, then feel free to start a conversation in the comment section down below. Other than that, thanks very much for watching. My name's David Thorne, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.